Australian speaker Shahram Akbarzadeh, the director of the Middle East Studies Forum at Deakin University, also a non-resident senior fellow at the Middle East Council on Global Affairs in Doha. Shahram, thank you so much for your time. Thoughts about this peace plan presented by Donald Trump?
Thanks for having me, Adnan. I'm conflicted about this plan. Obviously, the fact that President Trump has put his own personal stamp on this, he is risking his own reputation. He wants to win a Peace Nobel Prize, so that is encouraging. But on the other hand, when you look at the points, the 20 points on the plan, it very much looks like what Israel has been asking for, which is a complete surrender of Hamas, release of all hostages without any condition, giving up their arms without any condition. Basically, it seems like a surrender plan, and that's why I am somewhat pessimistic that Hamas would actually agree to this plan. You have to think any plan that stops bombs falling on the population in Gaza is a good plan, no matter how fraught it is. But I don't think the way it is presented is asking everything of Hamas and asking very little of Israel. In fact, it simply repeats Israel's security concern that Israel is allowed to maintain its security buffer zone inside the Gaza Strip. All of that suggests that this is a very lopsided, one-sided proposal and unlikely to be accepted by Hamas.
Shahram, how important is the philosophy behind this plan? Because you're talking about the practicalities of it, which is obviously important. When you look at the philosophy of it, and many people will be upset by this kind of analysis, not necessarily our viewers who watch Western-orientated channels, because there's a kind of a Judeo-Christian philosophy in the White House, which many people say is based on white supremacy. And then we have a Zionist prime minister in Israel. And is this a convergence of their philosophies, which is going to punish the Palestinians?
Well, I mean, in terms of philosophy, the United States has been a staunch ally and supporter of Israel. The United States has defended Israel against international sanctions when basically the international community has risen up to express disgust and anger at the way Israel conducts itself. When the International Court of Justice accepts a case that there is prima facie something to answer for in terms of genocide in Gaza, the United States has stood by Israel. So you could say that there has been an alliance. I wouldn't push it as far as saying there is a religious alliance between Christians and Judaism to subjugate Muslims. I think that is pushing it too far. But there has definitely been a political alliance between Israel and the United States, and that is putting the United States I guess, on the losing side of history and against international public opinion, because now everyone acknowledges that Israel has gone too far. The use of force against civilians has been excessive and unjustified, and the United States has lost its international credibility for protecting Israel against international sanctions.
Is this almost the last chance for Hamas, Shahram? And I've repeated this before in the analyses of where we are with the destruction of infrastructure and the killing of civilians. And I think back to Aleppo and the Syrians and the Russians and their fighter jets bombing Aleppo with such intensity that the rebels, which were against the Assad regime, had to leave the city because they realized that every single civilian would be killed. Might Hamas be feeling that kind of pressure?
Definitely there is that kind of pressure on Hamas. And I think you might say that Hamas as a military force has been basically decimated. That is very little chance of Hamas as a military force to make a comeback from this defeat. but as a political force, as an idea of resistance. Hamas, in some other form, will survive. And that's the problem of trying to win this conflict through military means, ignoring the political plight, legitimate political plight of Palestinians. And I think that just feeds more tension, more conflict, and a never-ending cycle of violence.
Shahram Akbarzadeh, we always appreciate the analysis. Thank you so much.